...2021 was, no doubt, a pretty wild year for the gaming world, for better or worse, with Ratchet & Clank finally getting a new game and winning a few awards in the process, including PS5 Game of the Year by the PlayStation blog. That's pretty cool. Sly Cooper was acknowledged more this year than pretty much every year since the movie and TV show was announced. But hey, at least we got a pretty cool Funko Pop out of it. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger 2 finally came to every modern day platform, with Sonic Colors doing the same after being stuck on the Wii for over 10 years. This game is still better than Forces, and you will not convince me otherwise. Nick All-Star Brawl with Garfield became a thing, Insomniac Games somehow managing to already be working on Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, the long-awaited Uncharted movie trailer divided the fanbase, while everybody loved the trailer for Sonic 2. The movie, not the game, obviously. Popeye got a remake? Kinda? I'm so confused at this point. Regardless, 2021 has been a pretty wild ride, and has easily been one of the best years in recent memory for gaming. Despite the PS5 still being relatively hard to find, which kinda sucks because I'm yet to actually play Rift Apart. But thankfully, 2022 seems to be continuing this pretty insane roller coaster ride, which includes multiple series that I happen to discuss here on the channel. Sonic, SpongeBob, Crash, just to name a few of the series that I'll be going over in this video. So without further ado, let's take a look at what the year ahead has in store. Let's start off with next year's Sonic the Hedgehog releases. Considering I've been talking about Sonic a good bit lately, this seems like a good place to start. In February, a complete series Blu-ray release for The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog will be released by Discotek Media, featuring all 65 episodes alongside a bunch of extras and some pretty unique takes on the classic Sega Genesis box arts. Now, I've never watched a single episode of this Sonic cartoon, but for all you fans of it, there you go. On March 8th, Sonic Boom is getting a, yep, you guessed it, a complete series Blu-ray release. All 104 episodes are bundled with a steelbook and some incredible art to boot. Art that was done by Adam Bryce Thomas of the IDW Sonic Comics, as stated on the back of the box. Bonus features include comparison animatics versus the final animations, trailers, and more. We might not be getting a third season, but I can't help to appreciate that Sega still acknowledges the show's existence and actually cares about it enough to justify the cool cover art. On April 8th, we of course get the long-awaited sequel to last year's Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which follows Sonic and Tails as they put a stop to Eggman's plans of finding the Master Emerald with the help of Knuckles. And we all know how this story's going to go once Eggman gets his hands on it. But man, this trailer just encapsulates everything fans love about the series, and it's already looking better than the first film. Heck, even Knuckles' new voice fits the whole Guardian of the Master Emerald role that he has way more than any of the other previous takes on the character, and it really shows that they're dedicated to living up to the fans' expectations with this one. Sonic Frontiers is releasing on every platform in holiday 2022 as the series' first ever true attempt at an open world game that seems to harken back to the tone the games had back in the late 2000s. And while we don't know a whole lot concerning the Blue Blur's next adventure, I'd imagine we'll start seeing more of the game by at least June, which just so happens to be Sonic's 31st anniversary. Now, I've talked much more about Frontiers in my previous two videos. If you want to check those out, they'll be in the top right corner. And then we've got Sonic Prime, which is the Blue Blur's next venture into the world of animation. Focusing on modern Sonic, this new CGI high-speed adventure through the strange and mysterious Shatterverse It's up to Sonic to save the universe and, along the way, experience moments of self-discovery and redemption. So from the sound of it, they're really wanting to explore a side of Sonic's character that hasn't really been seen before, sort of like what we got to see in the Sonic movie, but with Man of Action, the team behind Ben 10, the lead artist for Crash 4 and Spyro Reignited, Nicholas Cole, and now Ian Flynn, the guy responsible for the IDW comics and writing for Sonic Frontiers, is consulting in some way for the show. I have a feeling that this is going to be the Sonic cartoon everybody's been waiting for. I just hope Silver and Blaze can get in. That is the one wish I have for this show. Okay, so with all the Sonic stuff out of the way, let's check in with what's happening with our favorite undersea sponge and his fellow Nicktoons compadres.
No! This is Patrick!
The Cosmic Shake is releasing sometime next year for every platform, and if I had to guess, it'll probably wind up releasing between June and September. Now recently I came to the conclusion that we might see some actual gameplay for the game during PAX East 2022, which happens to take place in late April. The reason being is because of Rehydrated being present at the event back in 2020, which, just like this year's event, takes place 7 months after the game's respective reveal. But even though Rehydrated's release schedule went mostly to plan, the Cosmic Shake doesn't exactly have that same luxury. The primary reason being is because the team's work situation was shuffled around alongside many events going digital rather than having actual in-person events. Example being, the first gameplay for Rehydrated came from Gamescom in 2019, and that was around 2 months after the game's announcement. Comparing that to the Cosmic Shake, well, that didn't happen. The Game Awards happened around the same time frame, but we did not get a trailer during the event. But, since PAX East is returning next year, it would seem logical for them to drop a playable demo at the event, and then a trailer around 2 months afterward, provided they want to try and stay as close as possible to Rehydrated's release schedule for the Cosmic Shake. As for Nick All-Star Brawl, we've gotten another update since the last video. Over on the Nick Brawl Discord server, Thaddeus Cruz, who's one of the developers at Ludosity, as well as the character designer and programmer for Nick Brawl, posted this announcement on the server. The latest free DLC character will be coming to the game very soon. There are a bunch of characters and stages in the works right now. Crossplay will be available in early 2022, and we've been hearing your requests, and we'll be sure you'll be hearing from us soon. So from the sounds of it, it sounds to me that voice acting is officially coming to the game, which has been a concern for many players, myself included, since the game was first announced. And I'm glad that it's finally coming to the game. As for the next DLC fighter, they put emphasis on this one being free, but not the others, so I'm going to assume that after the next character drops, we'll have to pay something to get the others, which is fine, I guess, considering Smash Bros. Did it, but then we've got Multiverses coming out next year, which is completely free to play, aside from whatever in-app purchases they decide to pull, so I don't know, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Okay, let's shift gears into PlayStation territory, which is the part where I like to do a lot of speculating. For anyone who's been with the channel for a while, you know I cannot help myself. So first off, Ratchet & Clank will be celebrating their 20th anniversary since their debut on the PS2. But back in June, less than a week before Rift Apart was released, James Stevenson, the community director at Insomniac Games, posted an article on the PlayStation blog celebrating the evolution of the Ratchet & Clank franchise and just how far it's come up until this point. At the end of the article, he brings up the series' 20th anniversary and how they, Insomniac Games, can't wait to celebrate. Now obviously, they created the series, so of course they're going to celebrate. It's just how do they plan on doing so is the question. For a while, I've speculated that because there might be plans in place, that some of the older PS2 games, as well as the future saga, could be getting proper re-releases on the PS4 and PS5, giving everyone a better option for playing these games, rather than having to play them via PS Now. The same goes for Sly Cooper. But I honestly do not see Insomniac themselves doing that, or even re-releasing Rift Apart as part of a Game of the Year edition, like what Marvel's Spider-Man received the following year, partially because Rift Apart doesn't have any additional DLCs like Spider-Man had, to even add to such an edition. It would basically just be a reprint with nothing new. So, if anything, I could see them adding a couple of new weapons or armor pieces here or there via updates, like the new suit additions to Spider-Man Remastered, but probably nothing more than that. Another series that celebrates 20 years in 2022 is Sly Cooper. Yes, everyone's favorite Phoebus Raccoonus, who's still trapped in Egypt after 9 years come February, and all we've been left with is a lot more attention being given to the series this past year. But the most interesting thing of all is this Easter egg from the Play Has No Limits spot, as this is literally the only one here that represents a dormant IP. The others, aside from free secret IPs, are all active IPs, with some receiving announcements sometime after this. And regardless of how many salty rumors that pop up concerning Sly's return, this alone indicates to me that Sly is indeed coming back. Maybe not in time for the 20th anniversary, seeing as Sony did absolutely nothing for Jak and Daxter's 20th anniversary earlier this month. If they'll actually do anything new for that series remains to be seen, but I'd still like to believe that next year is going to be the year Sly Cooper makes a comeback, whether it's the TV show, Sly 5, or remaster, remake, or whatever you want to call it. It's going to be so weird if it happens to actually be talking about something that we've been waiting so long for. It's just going to be so surreal, to be honest. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger also turns 20 years old next year, and while there's no word on what the team over at Chrome Studios has planned next year to celebrate, aside from the Doomy Ranger Part 2 comic, which sets up a potential Ty 5 releasing next year, it'd only be logical to assume that they'll be releasing the console ports of Ty 3 Night of the Quinkin sometime next year, seeing as they ported and released the first two games over the past 2 years. And finally, we arrive at the last topic of today's video, Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. For anyone keeping up with the Wumpa League situation, you've probably gone a bit crazy doing so, with the Wumpa Pinatas and the Easter egg in the Play Has No Limits spot just leaving us all scratching our heads more than anything else. And chances are, Activision did have plans to announce the game, and possibly even Spyro 4, during the Game Awards, until they were ultimately cut from the show after not leaving the best impression on the industry, due to how they're handling the current situation, which only seems to be getting worse and worse by the day. So because of all this, I believe the next Crash and Spyro games will be delayed by at least a year, with Spyro 4 possibly releasing during his 25th anniversary in 2023, while Wumpa League will likely release sometime in 2022. But I would like to be wrong and Spyro also releases next year, which could possibly be the last times we see Crash and Spyro on current gen hardware via cross-gen and backwards compatibility before eventually fully transitioning into next gen. And hopefully Activision Blizzard can get their act together before the next game releases, because they left a complete mess in their wake, not just amongst their company, but also amongst the fans. Like, it's to the point where I can't even mention anything about Crash or Spyro on Twitter without at least one person bringing up this fiasco, and maybe saying something along the lines of not buying any games they put out, which in turn hurt the actual developers more than Activision themselves, and we don't want that. But anyways guys, that's all I've really got to say for this longer than it needed to be last video for the year. And if you guys stayed through the whole thing, thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate the support as always. Whether you've subscribed, became a patron, watched every video, or just the occasional viewer, whatever the case may be, it truly does mean a lot. But 2022, like, wow. How is it already almost 2022? What happened to 2021? So yeah, with all that said guys, I've been Blue Knight, and I'll see you guys in the new year, 2022. I hope you have a good one.
What?